Hey everyone, if you've ever found yourself staring at a huge pile of books for a big commerce exam and just thinking, ugh, there has to be a better way, then you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down a smarter, more strategic way to not just study, but to actually master the material. Does this question hit a little close to home? I mean, if you're buried under notes and practice papers right now, feeling like you're working super hard but just spinning your wheels, you're not alone. That's an almost universal feeling. But what if I told you that being overwhelmed doesn't have to be part of the process?
And let's be real, here's why it feels so overwhelming. You're up against a massive syllabus, right? The concepts can get really tangled up, and maybe the way you're revising just isn't making things stick. It's that classic trap of studying hard but not studying smart. And that usually means you're missing out on the kind of focused, exam-style practice that really gets you ready for the big day.
So what if there was a way to just cut through all that chaos? A system that's not about putting in more hours, but about making your hours count for more. Well, that is exactly the kind of strategic approach we're going to dive into today.
And to really see how this works in the real world, we're going to look at this method through a platform called CommerceWala. It's built from the ground up around this whole idea of a smarter way to learn, which makes it a perfect way for us to see these principles in action.
You see, the whole philosophy here is a shift in your goal. It's not just about cramming information to pass a test. The real aim is to help you truly master the material with total clarity. That way, the confidence you walk into the exam hall with is, well, it's real, because you've actually earned it.
Okay, so how do you actually get to that point of mastery? It's all done through a very specific process. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of this method, which is all about shifting your effort from just brute force work to smart, strategic work.
It all breaks down into this really clear three-step path that just makes so much sense. First, you build a rock-solid foundation by mastering the core concepts. Then, and only then, do you move on to step 2, practicing with precision using past exam questions. And finally, you add on those smart revision strategies to make sure it all sticks.
And it all begins with that foundation. Before you even think about tricks or shortcuts, the focus has to be on getting crystal clear on the 4 pillars of commerce: accounting, finance, management, and economics. The idea is simple, right? You can't build a skyscraper on a weak foundation, and a deep understanding of these subjects is absolutely non-negotiable.
Step 2 is where all that theory gets battle-tested. But notice, it's not just about grinding through old questions for the sake of it. The key is to understand them. With simple explanations for previous year questions, you know them as PYQs, then you take that knowledge and apply it in a real exam-like setting, getting you used to the pressure and the clock.
And this slide just perfectly captures the whole mindset shift. On the left, you've got the old way, just memorizing, putting in aimless hours, and all the confusion that comes with it. But on the right, you have the smarter way, learning that's driven by concepts, strategy, and the clarity and confidence that just naturally come from that. It's really the difference between trying to run through a thick fog versus running on a clearly marked path.
So we've seen the what and how, but to really get on board with any study method, you have to understand the why. What's the core belief that's powering this whole approach? It all comes down to this incredibly simple but really powerful formula. The most important part here is that plus sign. It's not one or the other. It's the two things together. A deep, solid understanding of the concepts combined with intelligent, focused practice, that's the equation for success.
And the ultimate goal here goes way beyond just passing an exam. The mission is about setting you up for a long-term career by turning you into a real scholar, someone who doesn't just remember facts, but who deeply understands their field.
So what does all of this actually mean for you? Well, this entire method, this whole philosophy, it's designed to be a framework that you can use to start writing your own success story.
And this strategic approach is tailor-made if you're aiming to crack major exams like the UGC NET, the various state eligibility tests or SETs, and the CUET-PG for getting into top master's programs. This isn't just generic advice, it's a specific game plan for these exams.
So if this concept-first, practice-focused approach we've just talked about really resonates with you, if it sounds like what you've been missing, then exploring a platform like CommerceWala, which is built on these exact principles, is a pretty smart next step to learning commerce the right way.
Which leaves us with one last question. And it's a much more inspiring one, I think. The goal isn't just about passing a test anymore, it's about reaching a deeper level of mastery. So, the real question is, are you ready to become a scholar?